Now that you know how to create dictionaries, let's actually look at some methods and ways to modify and use the data that's in them. As you can see here, I have a person dictionary with the keys first name, last name, and age associated with the values John, Smith, and 30. And down here, I am printing my person dictionary. If I run this, we'll see that I get the output first name John, last name Smith, age 30 in my dictionary. Now, if I wanted to access just a single value in here, the way that I would do that is by using square bracket notation. So down here in my print function, after the dictionary variable name, I'm going to put a set of square brackets, and then I'm going to pass it in the key for the value that I want. Right now, I want the value for first name, so I'm going to pass it first name. And when I run this, we'll see that I get the output John because John is the value associated with the key first name. Now, if I tried to use this square bracket notation with a key that does not exist, it will give me a key error. So when I run this, we'll see that it raises as key error and it's telling me that job is not a key that's in this dictionary. Now, if I go up here and I want to say change the value of one of the keys, I would type the dictionary name, square brackets, the key that I want to change, and then the equal sign and the new value. And if I run this, we'll see that I get my dictionary and the value age has been changed to 36 here. But if I were to do this with a key that does not exist, such as job, and add the value of programmer and run this, we'll see that job and programmer were added to my dictionary. So it's a little bit of a caveat with dictionaries that if you try to access a key that doesn't exist, you get a key error. But if you're trying to set the value of a key that doesn't exist, it will simply create the new key for you. I'm just going to comment this line of code out for a second because I'm going to need it again. Now, another way to access a value is to use the get method. So I'm going to create a new variable called result equals, and I'm going to type in my dictionary's variable name, .get. And it says here it returns the value for key if key is in the dictionary, else default. Now default is none. So if I were to look for the job key and try to get that value, since I have this commented out, this will not create the job programmer key value pair. So job is not in this dictionary. And then in the print function, I tell it to print result. It's going to print none because it did not find this key anywhere. So there's no value associated with it. Now, if I wanted, I could add the optional default value and maybe give it a message to return, such as no job found. And if I run this, we get the output no job found. And if I were to print out my person dictionary again, we'll see that it does not, in fact, do anything with the key job. It does not create it. It doesn't give me an error. It just gives me this output of no job found. But if I uncomment this line of code out, so job will be in my dictionary, and run this, we'll see that job does get added to the dictionary. And if I set this to print that result out, that it does in fact print out programmer. Another method you could use to get values is the set default method. I'm going to go ahead and comment this out again. And this time I'm going to say result equals person dot set default. And the way the set default method works is that it will look for the key that I pass in. So in this case, I'm going to pass in job. And then it is going to either set the value to none if I did not pass in a second argument, or I can have it set the value to whatever I want. So in this case, I'll set it to programmer. So now since I have this person job equals programmer commented out here, job is not a key that's in this dictionary. But if I run this, we'll get the output programmer. And if I print out my person dictionary so that we can see that, we'll see that it does in fact add the job programmer key value pair here. Now, if I were to uncomment this out and change this to, let's say, coder, then my dictionary will contain the key value pair job with coder. So when I run this, result is going to come back as coder, not programmer. And when I run that, we'll see that we get that right here. And finally, we can update the information in our dictionary by using the update method. So I'm going to go ahead and remove some of this code here. And I'm going to put in person.update.
The update method works similarly to the dict function, as in it takes similar arguments.
But instead of creating and returning an entirely new dictionary, it simply adds the information that we pass it to the end of the dictionary that we call it with. So if I wanted to, say, create some values using key value pairs, I could do state equals and then give it a state, such as Florida, and go ahead and give it job equals programmer. And now when I run this, it's going to add these two key value pairs to this dictionary and then output the dictionary here, which we'll see down here. We have the state Florida and job programmer added to our dictionary. Another way to use the update method is to pass it an iterable containing collections that have two elements in it. So if I wanted to, I could pass it a list with a list inside of it. And in here, I will put state and Florida, and then a comma and another list. And in the other list, I will put job and programmer. And now I am passing it a list containing two list collections, and there are two elements in each of those two lists. And when I run this, we'll see that we get state Florida and job programmer in our dictionary down here. The last way that I'm going to show how to update information in the dictionary is by creating another dictionary and then passing that dictionary into the update method. So I'm going to create a dictionary that I'll call new info. And in this dictionary, I will give it the state of Florida and the job of programmer. And then down here in the update, I will simply pass in my new dictionary that I've just created. And when I run this, we'll see that we get the state Florida and job programmer into our original dictionary again.